do INFJs give advice? I want to say when I was younger, I was probably more, why do I keep saying I was more inclined to give advice, even when it was unwarranted. Like maybe somebody just didn't want my advice, but then I felt inclined to share my advice with people because I could see, like, I don't know, where they were struggling and how things could be easier. I could see their potential and I could see where they're holding themselves back. Yeah, I could just see like things, and I was just like, I don't know. There was a part of me that was like, I just want everyone to be better. And then I would like share unsolicited advice, and then I would most often get met with defensiveness. Like people would get really defensive, like they just didn't want to hear what I had to say, which kind of ties into rejection. Like that was also like I made a video on rejection most recently, but that kind of was painful when you had somebody else's well-being in mind and you went to share your insights, and then they just kind of lashed out with you with defensiveness. And I did this for years, honestly. I don't know why I did it. I just knew what it felt like to go through difficult times, and I was trying to prevent people from having to go through similar struggles. But then now I realize that people need to go through these struggles, and when you give premature advice when people don't want it or if they're not ready to hear it, then yeah, of course they're going to be defensive. You're kind of like crossing the boundary, like you're just not allowing people to be themselves, and you're trying to interfere with their learning process. I also noted that a lot of people couldn't even comprehend what I was talking about, so that was also frustrating. And I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people can't comprehend what we're saying because, one, they probably aren't as self-aware. And I'm not saying this in a condescending way. I just think that they don't give themselves enough time to just sit with themselves and think about things. You know what I mean? So yeah, they lack self-awareness, and also maybe they lack life experiences. It's weird because, like, if you don't experience a particular thing in life, I would think it would be difficult to relate to it or to even comprehend it because you haven't experienced it. For instance, this is a stupid analogy. Say somebody went to Iceland and they experienced the aurora borealis, and then they're talking to someone who doesn't know anything about Iceland or the aurora borealis, so that person's just gonna be looking at you like, I don't know what the fuck are you talking about. So that kind of ties in with us trying to give advice. It's like, obviously we've experienced enough and we're self-aware enough and we've explored our internal world enough to, like, I don't know, understand and comprehend certain things that most people haven't even touched. So when you're trying to prematurely like outlet the information, they're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then when you're younger, you're just like, you have this like expectation and you also have this objective, but then it's not being met, and so you feel rejected, and then you get depressed, or you feel ostracized. Now I just don't really give advice. I've kind of like went through the stages of experiencing that people don't understand what I'm talking about. I don't know why I think this is so funny. I think it's funny because I'm looking back on it now, but when I was younger, it was not funny. I was really, really hurt. I took it personally. I I just don't take things personally anymore. And I just don't give advice unless somebody asks. Like, but as far as like just kind of like blurting out advice, I don't do it anymore. You know, for the reasons that I just mentioned. So yeah, I mean, until you figure that out, I guess that's kind of frustrating and kind of conflicting, you know, for you. But once you figure out that, you know, just, yeah, I don't know. I don't need to give anyone advice. Just let everyone do what they need to do and learn what they need to learn through their own firsthand experience. And if, and this is a big if, because most people, I don't know, there's a lot of people that I met that, I don't know, they don't really want the help or whatever, man. Yeah, if somebody asks for advice, that's a different story. Then I would probably be a little bit more inclined to share my insights. It also depends on like how serious this person is in finding solutions. Because if you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever come across people who just like complain to complain and then they ask for advice, but then they don't take your advice and then they come back and they complain about the same thing? I mean, it's not common for me anymore, but I remember back in the day, yeah, I'd have a lot of people just want to dump on me, like emotional trash can. And I would give them advice because they would ask, and then they just wouldn't take it, and then they would come back to me, and it would be like a record loop. Like they just say the same thing over and over, and then at some point, I'm just like, oh, why do I even tell you what? Why do I even give you advice? You're not even taking it. Yeah, no. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like don't give advice. I just kind of give people space. Like I just give them space. And then I go into like a detached observational mode where I just kind of like watch people. Not necessarily to judge them, just to kind of like understand why they're doing what they're doing. You know? And if I don't understand what somebody is doing, I might sound like an inquisitioner because like I want to understand. And so I will ask many questions, and people who are not accustomed to that will probably take that as an attack when I'm totally just trying to understand. Have you encountered this? But shucks, I was gonna say something else. Oh, yeah, okay. So on the rare occasion, I will offer advice. But I don't just say it. I usually prompt the person with a question. For example, I would tell them, hey, are you open to, I wouldn't say my advice. I would say, are you open to suggestion? And then, like, usually they'll be like, oh, yeah. You know, because usually when you ask a question, it makes them more receptive to the advice because their curiosity will be piqued and they'll be like, oh, yeah, like, sure. You know, but if you just tell them, like, nobody wants to be told what to do. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if you really, really, really want to share advice with people, I found a successful way to do it is to ask them a question. And the question should kind of sound kind of like, are you open to suggestion? 99% of the time people will be like, oh yeah, like what's up? Or like, shoot, let me know. And then from there I'll be like, okay, well, you know, I've noticed this, and you know, if you would like to make it easier for yourself, maybe you should consider doing this, you know? And with that formula, I've noted that people are more open to suggestion and they actually get it, you know? I also find mirroring, I don't know if you guys do this, I like to mirror, like role play. I like to role play. I find that most people don't really know what they're doing unless somebody shows it to them. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing half the time until somebody shows me. Like, I guess I have this like interesting stance that I do that I'm not aware of, and I do this weird wiggle, and I when I eat or something, when I'm happy and I'm eating, I have no idea I'm doing that until somebody like starts mirroring it back to me, or we go into role playing or something. It's really fun. If you haven't tried it, you should definitely try it, especially, but you have to do it with people who are open, because there's some people I've tried role playing with, and they get really triggered. Like, they just really don't want somebody to show them what they're doing. I don't know why that is, because I think it's funny. Like, if somebody tries to like mimic me or mirror me, or we go into role playing mode and they try to like be me, it's pretty funny. But I've learned a lot of things by having somebody mirror me, and I think in turn they have learned things about themselves when I mirror them. Just turn it into a game. It doesn't have to be serious. Gosh, why is everybody so serious? Anyways, this is my little ditchy on advice. If you learned something cool, if you didn't, that's cool too. I hope you are having a marvelous day, and blessings to one and all. Amen.